in a comfortable seat and close your eyes. If sitting cross-legged isn't comfortable for you, maybe you sit with your legs out. Maybe you start laying down on your back. Maybe you sit in a chair instead. But wherever you're at, close your eyes. Start to tune in. How are you feeling right now? Physically? What are your emotions like? What is your mental state like? What is your breath like? And if it's comfortable for you to work on your breath, if it's not, feel free to skip the breath work. It's definitely personal choice, but if you'd like to work on your breath, start by inhaling, drawing air into your belly and letting it expand outwards, keeping your belly nice and soft. And exhaling, drawing your navel to your spine. Maybe you release out through the mouth. And inhale, expanding outwards. And exhale, contracting back in. Maybe you start with a count of 3 in and a count of 3 out. And continue on with a few rounds of that. Or maybe just with each breath in, you take a little bit longer and fuller of a breath. And with each breath out, you do the same. So we'll take a few rounds here in silence. And on your next breath in, take the deepest breath you've taken all day. And exhale, release out through the mouth. And blink your eyes open. And roll over your feet and make your way to tabletop. And start with some cat-cows. Inhale, lift your tailbone up to the ceiling. Open up through your collarbones. And exhale, round through your spine. Moving with your own breath, inhaling through cow pose. And exhaling through cat. Maybe you do a few more cat-cows, or maybe you start to take other movements to warm up your body. Maybe you sit back in a child's pose. Maybe you stretch the front side body. Eventually making your way back to center and come into plank, or find a half plank with your knees lowered. And hold for a breath. Inhale and exhale. And on your next breath, lower down to the ground, nice and slow. And then take your hands underneath your shoulders. Inhale, press up to a nice baby cobra. And exhale, release. And 2 more times with your own breath. And release back down. And press up and back to your tabletop. And stretch your right leg back. Keep your toes on the mat to start and rock forwards and backwards. And then lift your leg up and hold. Maybe you reach your left arm forward and balance here. Or you can keep your left hand on the ground too. Inhale and exhale, knee and elbow meet. And inhale back out. One more. And reach back out. Lower your hand, draw your knee in and through to a low lunge to start. This is where the blocks might come in handy if you have some. If you don't have blocks, you can use some large books, or maybe just keep your hands up on your knee. And stay here or join me in a twist. Plant your left palm, twist towards your right knee, and reach your right arm up. And release back down and make your way back to your tabletop. And this time stretch your left leg back, rocking forwards and backwards. And then lift your left leg up. Maybe also reach your right arm forward and balance. Inhale in, and as you exhale, draw elbow and knee together. And inhale back out. One more with your own breath. And then lower your right hand, draw your left knee in and through to your low lunge. Take a couple breaths here. And then plant your right palm and twist towards the left. One more breath. And then release. And back to your tabletop. From here, press into your hands, tuck your toes under, and hover. Lift your knees just slightly above the mat. And then lift your hips up and back, and make your way to your downward facing dog. Maybe you bend your knees here. Maybe you drop one heel to the mat, and then the other. Or maybe you find some stillness. Take a nice breath in, and as you exhale, start to walk up to the front of your mat and find a forward fold. Again, bending your knees. Maybe you have blocks here. Or maybe you grab opposite elbows and sway gently side to side. And then release. And inhale, lift up to a flat back and fold. Roll up to standing nice and slowly. Making your way up to Tadasana. Reach your arms up overhead and exhale, sit back in your chair pose. I like to take a nice wide stance with my feet here rather than keeping the feet together like how sometimes chair is done. But find what's comfortable for you and find a comfortable position for your arms as well. Lots of different options. Inhale in, and as you exhale, maybe sink a little deeper into your chair. One more breath. And then exhale up to standing. Coming back to Tadasana. Shift your weight over to your left foot. Draw your right knee up. Maybe you balance, or maybe you keep your right toes on the ground. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, step your right foot back. We're coming into Warrior One. So again, I like to keep a nice hip width distance for my feet rather than on one long line. And bend through your left knee. Left toes are pointing forward. Right foot is turned out at about a 45-degree angle. Your arms can come up overhead, or maybe you find a different variation that works for you. Hold for one more breath. And then pivot on your back toes, press up. See if you can lift your right leg up and balance. And then release back down. Shift your weight over to your right foot. Draw your left knee up, or maybe you're keeping your left toes on the ground. Inhale in, and as you exhale, step your left foot back. Bending through your right knee. Left toes are at a 45-degree angle. And settle into your warrior one. One more breath, inhale in, and as you exhale, maybe you step back up, lifting your left knee back up, and then release and shake it out. And then coming back to your Tadasana, inhale your arms up overhead, and exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale up to a flat back. And release. Plant your palms, step back to a downward dog, or feel free to come to tabletop. Or if you need a bit of a break, you can come down to child's pose or grab a water break. When you're ready, we'll all meet in downward dog or tabletop. Inhale your right leg up to a three-legged dog. Exhale, shift forward. Knee draws in and through to your lunge. Maybe your left back knee is lowered and you're in a low lunge. Or if you're feeling warm enough, you can lift up your back knee for a high lunge. And you can take your arms up overhead or on blocks or keep them low. And if you'd like to take a twist and your arms are lifted, go ahead and lower your arms back to the ground. Plant your left hand on the mat or on a block. Twist to your right leg. Right arm reaches up. One more breath. And then release back down. Plant your palms. Make your way back to your downward dog or tabletop. And on an inhale, lift your left leg up to a three-legged dog. Exhale, knee to nose and through to your lunge. Again, low or a high lunge. And arms wherever you would like. And we'll take a twist here. So lower your arms if you haven't already. Plant your right palm and twist to the left. And release back, finding your downward facing dog. Inhale in. Exhale, shift forward and find a plank or half plank. Hold for a breath. And then lower to the ground. Inhale. And lift up to cobra. And release. And press up and back. This time we'll pause here and take puppy pose, but feel free to skip it if this is too intense on your shoulders. Instead, you might come back to a child's pose. So walk your hands to the top corners of your mat. Walk your knees back and start to dip your chest to the earth. We won't be here for very long, but feel free to come out of this sooner as well. Pressing back up when you're ready, we'll all meet in a child's pose or a water break. And bring your feet together, knees apart, or a different version of child's pose if you prefer. Maybe the knees together. And settle in for a few breaths. When you're ready, you can come back up and see that Mooney, the yoga cat, has decided to join us. So he might offer his own sequence. But in the meantime, we'll get back to ours and we'll take another round coming into warrior ones before we make our way back, transition into the yin portion. So when you're ready, make your way to downward dog or tabletop. Hold for a couple breaths and just notice how the pose feels in your body and how it feels compared to the earlier downward dogs of your practice. When you're ready, lift your left leg up to a three-legged dog. Exhale, knee to nose and through to your lunge. From here, we'll be coming into warrior one. So if a high lunge is uncomfortable for you, feel free to step into this like we did at the beginning from Tadasana, from standing. Otherwise, press into your left foot, step your right foot up, about a foot or so. Bend through your left knee. Right foot is pointed at about a 45-degree angle. I know sometimes on video it looks like my foot is to the side, but it really is between the front and the side. But most important, find the angle that's comfortable for you, for your ankle, for your knee. Stay here or join me in humble warrior. Take your torso forward, let your arms sweep behind you. One more breath before reaching back upright. Circle your arms back down. Step your right foot back, coming into your lunge. Make your way back to your downward dog or tabletop. We'll take the other side. Inhale, lift your right leg up to a three-legged dog. Exhale, knee to nose and through to your lunge. Press into your right foot and step your left foot up. Bend through your right knee, rise up. And left toes are at a 45-degree angle between facing forwards and to the side. And then stay here or fold your torso forward, take your arms back for humble warrior. One more breath. And then exhale, reach your arms up. And then make your way back down to your lunge. And from your lunge to your downward dog. And from your downward dog, feel free to take a break here. But when you're ready, meet me in a forward fold and take a couple breaths. On an inhale, lift up to a flat back and release. Inhale, roll up to standing, reaching your arms up overhead. And as you exhale, sit back in your chair pose. Arms come wherever is comfortable. Hold for one more breath. And then release back upright and find a spot to do some balancing. So that might be up close to a wall where you can have some support while you balance. And start in Tadasana with your feet hip width apart. And I like to start rocking forwards and backwards, nice and slow. And then shifting side to side. And alternate between the two until you find what feels like your center. And once you do, find some stillness in that space. If you feel stable and secure enough to do so, maybe you close down your eyes and come back to your breath. When you're ready, we'll take some tree balancing. So start by shifting your weight over to the left and draw your right foot up. Maybe you keep your right toes on the ground. Maybe you take your right foot to your left calf, or maybe you reach your right foot up above the knee. And arms can be wherever is comfortable, maybe at the wall, maybe overhead or at your heart. And press into your left leg with your right foot. And at the same time, press into your right foot with your left leg. See if that helps a little with some stabilization. And lastly, I like to find an uplifted gaze, gazing towards where the ceiling and wall meet. I find that that sometimes helps with my balancing as well. And release back down, shake it out, and then shift over to the right and draw your left knee or left foot into tree, maybe on the ground, at your calf, or up above your knee. And come back to your breath. Take one more breath here and release back down, shake it out before making your way back to the top of your mat. And inhale your arms up overhead and exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift up to a flat back and release, plant your palms, step back for one last downward dog. Inhale in and exhale, slowly lower your knees to the mat, pausing to let them hover just above the mat. And then release back down to your tabletop. Maybe you take a couple of cat-cows here. And then from here, come onto your belly. And we'll find Sphinx Pose. So start with your arms stretched out long and your forehead to the mat. Notice how this feels. That might be enough of a bend in your back. But if you'd like, you can also slide your elbows back closer to your body until they're just underneath or a little in front of your shoulders. But you can also be here as well. So just find what works for you. If you're on a hardwood floor, maybe you place a blanket to lay on. Press into your knuckles and your forearms if you're lifted, and then find a gaze between your hands. And we'll hold for a couple minutes, but feel free to come out of this sooner if you'd like and just rest your forehead on your hands. Take your elbows out to the side if you haven't already, and rest your forehead on your hands and maybe shake your hips out a little bit. When you're ready, pressing up and back, and find a child's pose, or feel free to take some more cat-cows here before coming into child's pose too. For yin, I like to take a nice wide stance with the knees, but feel free to bring them in. And we'll hold this for a couple minutes, but feel free to come out sooner if you're more comfortable with that. Inhale in. And as you exhale, slowly press back up and make your way to a seat. We'll come into a seated forward fold. Inhale in, and as you exhale, fold forward over your legs. Maybe you have a bend in your legs. And I like to make my yin forward folds nice and passive, so not reaching. But if that feels better for you right now, you're welcome to take a more active stretch. But I like to just let my hands rest by face up by my side and let gravity do the work as I sit in my forward fold. Inhale in, and as you exhale, nice and slowly roll back upright. And then bring the soles of your feet together. Maybe draw them a little closer to your body, but not super close. We'll be coming into a forward fold butterfly. But if this feels better for your body, you're welcome to take that as well. So you can stay upright, or you can fold forward over your feet. Again, letting gravity do the work for you. And maybe if you're comfortable, you close the eyes. inhale in. And as you exhale, slowly roll back upright and draw your knees together. And then make your way onto your back. And once you get there, draw your knees into your chest. Sway gently side to side, or maybe take your hands to your knees and take your knees in figure eights. And then release, and we'll come into happy baby. We'll take it one leg at a time. So start maybe with your right leg, grabbing your foot or wrapping your arms underneath your knee. That might be a little more gentle. And your opposite leg might stay bent, or you might slide your leg out long, depending on what's more comfortable. And then once you're comfortable, close your eyes. Inhale in and exhale, gently release back down. And take your right leg up. Grab your right foot or underneath your knee. Keep your left knee bent, or maybe stretch your left leg out long. Notice any differences you feel from this side to the previous side. And gently release as you're ready. And next we'll come into legs up the wall. So if you have a wall nearby, maybe you go over to that and just sit with your hips right up against the wall. Come down onto your forearms and take your legs up the wall. Or maybe you take a block and place it underneath your sacrum and lift your legs up. Or if that's uncomfortable, you can also lift your legs up without any props as well. Then I like to find a nice bend in my knees here. And then also resting my hands on the belly, and that helps me come back to my breath. Feeling my hands rise as I inhale and fall with the exhale. And then lastly, closing your eyes if you're comfortable doing so. As you're ready to come back down, lower your knees and your feet back down. If you're at the wall, gently roll to one side. Slowly press up and make your way back to your mat. And if you're at your mat, remove your block and lower your knees. And we'll come into Reclined Pigeon. So starting with whichever leg you'd like, I'll start with left, cross left ankle over right knee. Maybe you keep your right foot on the ground and you take pigeon just like this. Maybe you lift your right leg up and hold your leg up with your hands. Or if you have a wall nearby or a chair, maybe you place your foot at the wall or on the chair, and that can help hold your leg up as well. Gently release your leg back down if it was lifted and uncross. And switch to the other side. crossing right ankle over your left knee, keeping your foot on the ground or lifting your leg up, or maybe placing it on a wall or chair. And gently release back down, uncross. Maybe windshield wiper your knees from side to side. And then settle into Savasana. Maybe with your knees bent, maybe with your legs outstretched long, or placing your legs over a bolster or pillow. We'll be here for about the next 6 to 7 minutes, so take some time to get comfortable. Close your eyes, and I'll cue you again when it's time for us to move again. Take a nice deep inhale and exhale out. Start to wake up your body again, moving your fingers and your toes, your arms and your legs. Maybe taking a full body stretch with your arms overhead. Eventually, roll to one side and pause here for a couple breaths. Before eventually, nice and slowly, making your way back to a comfortable seat. Once you get there, close your eyes. Just notice how you're feeling. As you're ready, blinking your eyes back open. Thank you for joining me tonight. I hope this was a nice class for you and that you're feeling relaxed. And let me know if you enjoyed the half vinyasa, half yin, something a little different. And also, if you're catching the replay, thank you for joining me. I hope you have a great rest of your night.